I just wanted to make a little introduction here to this video. I had recently put up the video with quite a bit in it about SashaStone. And the photo that I used was from their New Earth thing. And it says speaker SashaStone, and on the right is MichaelTellinger. So I had no idea who that was, so I thought it would be good to kind of dig into that and kind of find out what he was about. And so that's what this video is about. His plans sound very good. The first part of this is an article that I read to you, and you know, it sounds very idealistic, very good, and you know, like it would just be a, you know, utopia. Is it possible? I don't know. So I'll just let you take from this video what you want to take from it, and let me know what you think. God bless. New Age leaders weed out the lies. This is from September 14, 2012, and this is MichaelTellinger. And that's what this video is about. MichaelTellinger hopes to take his Ubuntu party all the way to Parliament. The Ubuntu party is not quite a political party, says founder MichaelTellinger, which is why it will not really be campaigning and may not even take part in elections. It's a liberation movement disguising itself as a political party for the purpose of getting through to the media and to the public, he said. But in truth, it is more of an anarchist movement, technically without a leadership structure, and advocating extreme decentralization of government, with local 12+1 councils of elders to rule with nothing but policy direction on a national level. It has promises of free energy through perpetual motion, diseases cured through ancient wisdom, and freedom from financial slavery and money. The kind of issues Tellinger's various movements are known for. It also provides a glimmer of hope for an end to pervasive mind control through cell phones and broadcast signals, although the party is not ambitious enough to promise that outright. The charismatic Tellinger is best known for his books and speeches on the origins of humanity as a slave species of aliens and the power inherent in energized water and other techniques he says ancient humans mastered. He also has a strong line on conspiracies, including that aliens and human dynasties are the behind-the-scene rulers of the planet. Recently, however, he has specialized in the financial system and vowed to fight the tyranny of banks. The Ubuntu party officially registered earlier this year and launched in September as one of the results. I just launched in my personal capacity a civil fraud summons against the banks, said Tellinger this week, cautioning that although the party would be soliciting similar fraud charges from the public, his action was separate. The fight and the attendant freedom charter that borrows its structure, if not all its content, from that of the ANC, is to end artificially imposed scarcity. We're informing people about what is really going on, how they are being lied to, how the whole system is one of entrapment and enslavement that is driving South Africans deeper and deeper into misery. As for Ubuntu being dismissed as a novelty party, the mere suggestion makes Tellinger more than a little angry. If you want to call financial desperation, 25 million homeowners being pushed into financial ruin, if you want to call that a novelty, for once words fail him. Political parties are notorious for making promises they have no chance of keeping after the vote. But the Ubuntu party ups the ante considerably, promising almost free electricity from hydro and wave power, methane gas and perpetual motion machines, nearly free petrol to everyone in South Africa from Sasha, and free petrol and diesel for farmers and public transport, free road, rail, and air transport on newly upgraded roads and railways, free internet access, almost free fixed line telephone calls and nearly free cell phone calls, free wood and paper to every community in whatever quantities they require, free education for children and students at all levels, and free education and training for anybody else in any craft or profession, free land, tools, and seed for farmers, and free fruit and nut trees for every household, free access to food for those who grow it, and nearly free access to those in cities who cannot help in the fields but contribute to the party in other ways. Free sophisticated health care for anyone in hospitals that cure diseases such as cancer rather than treat them. Free veterinarian services, an end to homelessness, mass cancellation of possibly all home loans, car loans, and credit card debt, and mostly crime-free communities, and minimal imprisonment and detention. And it goes on to talk about the DAGA party, which is another party, so I didn't read that. Through books and speaking tours for Tellinger, and with hope for donations for the DAGA party, whatever that is. And both are hoping to be ready as vehicles for a mass movement they consider inevitable when people finally realize the wisdom of their policies. Then there are the legal troubles and strategies of their founders. Acton, I'm not sure who that is, still faces charges for DAGA possession and is trying, and so far failing, to countersue the state. Tellinger has an outstanding judgment for failing to pay a home loan he says is illegal and has failed to take his counter case to the Constitutional Court, but still intends laying criminal charges against the big banks. Both are also depending on a grassroots uprising rather than central organization. We're trying to get people to form groups on the ground and cooperate on issues, the real issues, even if we don't make it into Parliament, said Acton. Like I said, I'm not sure who that is. If we get a network of civilians who talk to each other, hopefully it will gather steam and spread our support.
It is disgusting what's going on, and I feel a deep sadness and pain for what's happening to billions, not just millions, but billions of people around the world that have no hope for the future. They don't know when this is going to end. They don't know what they're going to do when it ends. They have no work, no job, nothing. They've lost everything. This is a huge cleansing process. So I don't know what's going to happen when we come out of this, but we better find something good for people to come back to. And I think more and more people are discovering that the system that we have just doesn't work for us. It doesn't serve us, it doesn't work for us. When things go wrong, people get stranded, they lose everything. Surely this can't be what life is all about, right? And so in many ways, as terrible and as painful as this is for many, many people, and I feel really blessed that I'm not one of those people that's suffering because we have enough funds in the bank for us to survive this period. Although my business is gone, I've lost my business, but I'm not on the street hungry, right? So I believe that this is really paving a way for people to find the Ubuntu movement, find the message of one small town can change the world. Right. And what they've discovered and embraced it and realized what it is about, how simple it is, and how we can turn our towns into unimaginable places of prosperity and abundance for everyone, very, very simply and very, very quickly. I think this is the opportunity for people to find us and find the message and go, this is what we need for the future. And that's why I'm so passionate about this. I've been doing this for 1.5 decades now, spreading this message. And I think the time has come for this message to finally take root. The seeds have been planted over a long period. It's now to take root and start to sprout. So what I realized is that the entire political system was completely and utterly rigged globally. It's rigged for an outcome that is controlled by those people that run the world through the financial and banking systems, as many of your viewers and listeners may know. And if they don't, you will get all this information on the Ubuntu Planet website, ubuntuplanet.org, right, or onesmalltown.org, and take you to the same website. And once you realize what money is, how it was introduced to humanity some 6,000 years ago, how it was then perfected into the money system, the financial system we have, and you'll see how simple the solutions are once we start adopting that kind of approach. It is unbelievable. The spectacular thing is that once the small town, under the leadership of a mayor, it obviously has to be a conscious mayor that drives this thing. Once we have our own electricity supply and our electricity generator that provides us our own electricity, that means that all the money that we normally pay towards electricity bills that leave our town, that money stays in our community. So now we have $1 million or more every month to use for upgrading our town and setting up projects and businesses for our community that belong to all those in the community that participate in the projects. It is such a simple model. No one is forced to do this. It's not compulsory. So the beautiful thing about this is that if we find a mayor that actually sees the wisdom and the benefits to his or her town, The mayor doesn't even need to get consensus from any of the people, because the people might not understand it. They might think it's some sort of a communist plot, or to entrap them to work for free, or people have weird ideas. So the mayor might just say, well, that's okay. Nobody has to participate.
Right.
By simply inserting or implementing the electricity supply, the generator, the mayor has already brought independence to his or her community.
Right.
And retains all the money for that community, and that mayor can then start doing incredible and unimaginable things every month for that community. And very quickly the people will see, oh my goodness, I see what you mean. I didn't understand it when you were explaining it to us. I see what you mean now. Okay, well, I want to participate. Yes, thank you. I will go and, do whatever needs to be done for 3 hours a week. And what do I get in return? I get some free electricity, and I get milk and bread and clothes and computers and whatever we make in our town. What needs to happen is right up front, whatever system, the financial system is set up in that town, that communal structure must ensure that nobody can run off with that money or transfer it into a private offshore bank account somewhere and just vanishes. This has been happening in governments at the highest level in the USA, in South Africa, and it happens in all guard against as that community. So a very strong influence and control mechanism needs to be in place by a community council, or a council of representatives of the people, and not just the mayor and the council that is appointed by the mayor or the government or whoever is responsible for that council. And the other important thing is that the moment you start doing this, we don't live in an isolated town or an isolated country. We live in a global village. Facebook and YouTube and the internet connects us within seconds. So I have there's no doubt in my mind that the moment this happens in a small town, and we start doing this, we implement that new electricity technology generator. First of all, everybody is going to want to know what the generator and what the technology is all about, because that's what I get all the time. And I say, that is only going to be released to the mayor that wants to implement this. This is not to be released to individuals for their homes. And this is why it's called small town and not one small house or one small home. Because what we're doing, once again, we're using the tools of enslavement as tools of liberation. Even the electricity is used. We're using the electricity platform so that everybody benefits equally, not some benefit more than others. Everybody has access to the same electricity, and if you contribute your 3 hours a week, then you get free electricity. It's simple. So what's going to happen in this one small town is that we're going to use less and less money, because everything we create for ourselves is free, while we keep making more and more money with our very successful business, because we're exporting everything we make. But we're not using the money, and suddenly people start to realize, oh wow, I have all this money, but unless I go somewhere else, I don't need to spend it on anything. And suddenly people realize, oh wow, we don't really need money. Look how much we've got, and we're not using the money. And it's at that moment that we have a real shift in consciousness. That is the ultimate and final shift in consciousness, when people realize that money does nothing. People do everything. And literally, it'll slow very steadily. I think we'll see a slow but steady eradication of money. And one day we'll wake up and actually look back and go, we haven't used money in 2 or 3 years. Events like this have been very interesting to me, especially musical events, because I know how powerful musicians and a message are and can be. But what I do find that as conscious as many of the musicians are, and as beautiful as their lyrics are, and as beautiful as their messages are, outside of that message of hope and unity and so forth, it's not followed by a plan of action. Or, okay, well, we live in a terrible world. You lift people up. They come to the concert and you lift them up. You give them a sense of euphoria for 2 or 3 hours, or a whole day at a festival, or 2 days or a weekend at a festival. That people come back all charged up and euphoric from these music festivals, and they come back to their miserable lives, and they hit a low and a depression because they're back in the prison, back in the slave camp, and they wonder what the hell happened. I had such an incredible time connecting with all these amazing, conscious, spiritually gifted people, and then I come back to this.
Right.
There must be something better than this. How do we get out of this? So my very urgent and clear message to all the musicians, all the conscious musicians of the world is, go carry on doing what you're doing. inspire the people, lift their hopes, lift their spirits, but then give them a solution. Right. And if you don't have a solution, then study the one small town strategy. And if that resonates with you, then tell people about it. I can't force you to tell them because it might not resonate with you. But if it does resonate with you, then leave your people at your concerts and on your videos, tell them about one small town, because you as a musician will benefit from it. You will have unlimited access to performing and playing the best gigs you can ever imagine without ever worrying about making money and paying your expenses as a musician. So it benefits everybody. So
according to Wikipedia, MichaelTellinger is a South African author, politician, explorer and founder of the Ubuntu Party, which supports the supply of free resources across society.
MichaelTellinger is a South African author, politician, explorer, and founder of the Ubuntu Party, which supports the supply of free resources across society. He has led a campaign against banks and central banks. He's also a promoter of cytoarchaeology influenced by Zecharia Sitchin's ideas of ancient astronauts. Presenting the Blaba Skrael stone ruins, interpreted by mainstream archaeology as 16th century boundary markers, as Adam's calendar, an alien-built structure at the center of a network of stone circles across South Africa, which purportedly channeled energy in ancient times. MichaelTellinger in 2014. He's an author. Temples of the African gods, decoding the ancient ruins of southern Africa. Tellinger authored or co-authored the following books, 3 of them self-published through his Zulu Planet publishers. Discovering the oldest man-made structure on Earth, Zulu Planet publishers. Slave Species of the Gods, the secret history of the Anunnaki and their mission on Earth. Temples of the African Gods, decoding the ancient ruins of southern Africa. Contributionism, a blueprint for human prosperity. Tellinger founded a South African political party called Ubuntu Party, named after the principles of Ubuntu Contributionism. Let's see what that is. Ubuntu philosophy. This article has multiple issues. Please help improve it or discuss these issues. Ubuntu, Zulu pronunciation, Ubuntu, is the Nguni Bantu term meaning humanity. It is sometimes translated as I am because we are. Also, I am because you are, or humanity towards others. The latter, but it's often meant in a more philosophical sense to mean the belief in universal bond of sharing that connects all humanity. Elephant statue with Ubuntu motive. MichaelTellinger graduated in 1983 from the University of Witwater Medical School, Johannesburg, with a B pharmacy degree, whatever that means. In 2012, Tellinger was sued in the Johannesburg High Court by Standard Bank for non-payment of his R828015 home loan granted in 2007. Tellinger's argument in a nutshell was that banks create money out of the air, and therefore he could do the same. That'd be nice. He sent Standard Bank a piece of paper which he said was a negotiable instrument for the final payment of the loan. Standard Bank took him to court, and with minutes his case was dismissed by Judge Jackson Mabsiel. Tellinger was ordered to pay the loan and legal fees of both parties. There was also the possibility that he could be sued for defamation and be declared a troublesome litigant. He was quoted as saying after the court case that he would take the case to the Constitutional Court. The Ubuntu Party was a South African political party founded in 2012 by author and songwriter MichaelTellinger, based on the principle of Ubuntu Contributionism. I'm not sure what that is, but it kind of sounds like communism, where everybody contributes and then they divide it about with everyone else. Was dissolved in 2020. The party aimed to introduce 100% employment by closing down the South African Reserve Bank and replacing it with the People's Bank that will grant interest-free home loans, fund massive public works, and provide free electricity as Eskom. The state-owned electricity utility is owned by the people of South Africa. They also plan to eliminate the necessity for government altogether. The party took part in the 2014 general election at a national level. Second on their list of candidates was Stephen Goodson, leader of the Abolition of Income Tax and Usury Party, a former director of the South African Reserve Bank and controversial for his Holocaust denial. In 2020 social media post, the party noted it was no longer active in politics and had not contested an election since 2016.
Hello, MichaelTellinger here, with a news message for all the Ubuntu supporters, or the One Small Town patriots, or the One Small Town supporters around the world. There are millions of us out there. This is a quick news message and an update as to where we are, how far we've come, what we're doing, and what we expect will happen in 2022. We've had an incredible year. Many of us are aware how tough the year was. It was tough for many, many people. For me personally, it was probably the toughest year of my life, where everything around me almost collapsed, but somehow, by some sort of a miracle, through the support of the One Small Town members, supporters, and especially the patrons of the One Small Town initiative, we've managed to survive. We've managed to get through this very, very dark period and continue the idea of One Small Town, growing it, expanding it, to a point where 1 year ago I could not have imagined we would be in this very incredible advanced situation. So it's with deep gratitude to all the people that rose out of the ashes to support the Ubuntu movement, to support me, all the patrons that suddenly arose out of nowhere, supporting in greater numbers every week and every month the One Small Town office and the Ubuntu office, so we can do this important work. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Without you, this would not be possible. Keep in mind, we need to keep growing the patron numbers, because the busier we get, the more funding we need to keep running the office. So I'd like to start off with that by thanking you and reminding you that the mission goes on. We are just getting out of the starting gates. 2021 was an unbelievable year in terms of success of how the One Small Town movement has grown and what we have achieved. So let me remind you what we've achieved in 2021, which is the springboard for 2022, which I believe will be the year in which the first One Small Town is going to be launched.
Contributionism.
Contributionism, a transitionist belief orientation holding that the achievement of transition is only completable through contributions to society, and that individual contributions to the collective should be the goal of people's lives. What is contributionism? It's a form of social structure that's built upon the African philosophy of Ubuntu. It's based on principles of unity within diversity and cooperation, envisioned by South African researcher MichaelTellinger, 2005. Ubuntu Contributionism is a worldwide social movement aimed at creating communities that function without money. Put in the search engine is Contributionism, Communism. And here it says Ubuntu Manchester, GB. Contributionism is not communism. It requires no administration, no overarching control. It does not ask people to do things that they hate for the greater good, to slave the people. Contributionism only requires like-minded people to come together and work together. When people realize this and start to implement this in their own communities, then we will see transition. With contributionism, we can all have more, work less, and spend our times doing the things that we love for ourselves and the greater benefit of all. The only problem with that is anytime you get a bunch of people together, first thing you know, they're going to be fighting over who's the chief, who makes the decisions. There's got to be some kind of order. There's got to be some kind of leadership.
Hello, this is MichaelTellinger, and welcome to a Q&A session with frequently asked questions regarding contributionism and the One Small Town implementation plan of action. In this video, we're going to deal with a question that comes up quite regularly. It's one of the very frequently asked questions about contributionism, and that is this not just another form of communism? Now, anyone that asks that kind of question, or this specific question, clearly has no idea what communism is. So that's really my point of departure here. So is contributionism just another form of communism? And the answer to that is categorically absolutely not. Anyone that asks this question has no idea about the origins of communism, the fact that it's a brutal dictatorship, a totalitarian state where people have absolutely no rights. The rule of law is twisted and bended whichever way the controlling party decides to bend the laws and rules, where military is used against the people, where people have no rights to do anything. Businesses are controlled, property ownership is controlled, everything is controlled by a one-party state under communism. That is a far cry. In fact, it is completely the opposite antithesis of what contributionism is and what One Small Town will be all about. So let's just have a few comparisons. What is it that's going to happen under a One Small Town and contributionist community? First of all, under communism, you've got no freedom to of telecommunication, broadcasting, information, televisions, news, especially the news, is very strictly controlled, etc., etc. Arts, culture, sport, etc. Everything is controlled by the one-party state. In our small towns that operate on a system of contributionism where people contribute their skills and talents, it's completely the opposite. Under contributionism, people are inspired and encouraged to grow, to create, to invent. So arts and culture will flourish, will explode. Inventions of the incredible minds of our inventors and scientists and the bright minds that are constantly coming up with incredible ideas is encouraged and shared with everybody. Nothing is suppressed. In a contributionist community, in a One Small Town contributionist community, everybody knows everybody. There are no secrets. Obviously, you have your own personal secrets that you don't share with others, like what you do in your bedroom, or how many times you make love a week, and these kind of things. That's very different. I'm talking about the stuff that is normally controlled, the flow of information and control of our lives that is strictly controlled under a communist regime. In our contributionist societies, everything will be open. There'll be no secrets. Why? Because all the businesses and the management of our towns and our communities is controlled by the people themselves. An appointed council of the people, a council of elders. We'll deal with that in a separate video about the council of elders, how they are appointed and how they are constantly rotated and moved and removed and changed, so that you don't have political creatures that entrench themselves in the council of elders and then try and take control of the management and manipulation and control of their community. This is impossible. It cannot happen. The antithesis of that happens. So everybody will know everybody. We know all the time, every day, what decisions are made for the improvement and upliftment of our communities, what structures we have put in place to control certain things, security, law and order, etc., development of our towns and our communities. Everything and anything we do is known to the people on a daily basis or whenever they want. Everything is available on our town website. The income, the profits, the turnover of all the businesses that we are shareholders of is available for anyone and everyone to see. Even outsiders can log into the website and see it. All the information and knowledge is shared with everybody. It's a completely transparent society and community. There's a very interesting twist that will happen eventually, and I'm not saying this up front, I don't want to scare anybody, but as this no need for money starts to entrench itself, once people realize that they don't need money to live in the One Small Town community, although we get all the profits and the benefits from the businesses, and it could be hundreds of thousands of millions or even billions of dollars that come into our small town that is then shared with the people. The benefit we have as contributors to the community is that we don't need to use the money. So people will have all this money in their bank accounts, their private personal bank accounts, whatever bank you bank with. None of that changes.
Everything remains the same. We might decide as a community to eventually create a bank, create our own community bank. That's a possibility. But as things stand right now, people will carry on living their lives with their own personal bank accounts, and they'll just have more and more money going in there every month from the dividends and the distribution of the profits of the businesses that we create, that you are a member or a shareholder of all the businesses in the town. Because this is how contributionism works. Remember, we use the tools of enslavement as tools of liberation. And that includes money. It includes bank.